Hey look, the weatherman was wrong again. 1/4 of an inch, maybe 1.5 inches instead. Front pond filled up, it's flowing over here into this one. I don't know if this one's pouring out yet, but man, it is wet. It was coming down last night. I can't win on trying to finish my little farm pond here. Well, it ain't little, it's actually a lot of work. But that being said, I'm gonna go back here, see how big of a disaster this is. I did bring the track loader down here yesterday, got it all fueled and greased up. I'll try to go over here and undercut some of this topsoil, get a core trench dug in there and take that pile of clay and start pushing it down and spreading it back there to build the new section of pond dam. Oh yeah, it's wet. There's the low spot. Oh, I've got a mess on my hands here now. Might as well make it worse. Well, my topsoil I was going to dig out and stockpile yesterday is now going to be mud. And I'm still going to stockpile it. I got to take some dirt. I'm going to throw it in here and try to dam this up, because that's right where I need to work. And boy, is it going to be a mess now. So I was able to get the rest of that brush moved over here and scraped through all this. Got the roots and everything out. There's still a fair amount of topsoil here, but I'm going to go over here and let's just see how sloppy wet this is going to be. There was no forecast of that much rain coming last night. Well, guess it is what it's going to be. I'm going to scrape all that. I was going to put half of it towards the back slope, but I think I'm going to put it all on the front side now. Just pile it up and I'll haul it out when it's dry enough, because that's never going to dry out if I pile it up and bury it with dirt. So let's get to scraping and see how well this works. So normally I would cut this out and just add it to the back slope of the pond dam, but I think I have so much of that nasty clay that I'm just going to stockpile all the topsoil and mud right now. That way I can use as much clay as possible in this pond dam and then top dress it with that. Like I've said before, topsoil is pretty scarce on this side of the farm, and if it remotely looks brown, I want to stockpile it, because I know that it'll grow stuff a lot better than that nasty stuff right there. So what I'm going to do is come in here where the footprint of the new dam is going to go, and I'm going to cut all this out, stockpile it, then I'll come in here and dig my core trench, probably the width of the loader, maybe a little bit wider. That way I can drive it down in there and track it in. I'll get a path cut in there and load up the off-road truck, and kind of use it to roll everything in as well. I think once I scrape the top few inches off of that, it'll dry out. Definitely did not need that rain, but there's nothing I can do about it, so you just got to deal with what you got. Right now I've got a muddy mess. But I got free time to work on the pond, so that's what I'm doing. But I'm 95% confident this is why the pond was leaking, was that whole dam was built on like 2 feet of topsoil, and it's just leaking through it. You know, right now you don't really notice it because the pond is at the elevation of where I'm digging right now, so there's really nothing trying to force its way through. But if I left that little dam I just threw in there, and it raised up 3 or 4 feet, I think you would start seeing it leak out of there. So I'll build all this, and then I'll probably just cut a ditch through the center of the dam there. If I can get this section of dam put in today, debating we might work on it tomorrow. We'll just see how the weather goes. Figure out what I'm going to do with all this mud. I guess haul it over there to my field and stockpile it. Next summer spread it out and let it dry. It's not going to dry anymore this year. We are past that point. Every little bit of topsoil I scrape up is that much more, clay I have to for a spot to fill in with. That means the bigger I can make the pond. I was thinking about burning that pile over there, but I don't know which way the wind's blowing, and I have people staying in the cabin this weekend, and I really don't want to smoke them out if the wind blows that way. Leave well enough alone and do it another day. Probably just stockpile all this over somewhere over here. That way I can use it back on top of the pond dam. Hopefully get some grass to grow. Alright, well let me keep scratching some of this up and go from there. Alright, so I'm going to start digging my little core trench here. That is just to make sure that I've gotten through the topsoil and I'm down to my gumbo clay. And as you can see right here, I am down to my gumbo clay. So I am not going to get too crazy and go down very deep, because I know this dirt out here, water does not go through that mess right there. So I'm gonna go down 18 inches, 2 feet. As long as it looks like that, I'm gonna full send it, because the deeper you get, the wetter it gets, and then you end up with a giant pile of mud that nothing will drive in. I'm going to line my toe of my slope right here with it. But that right there is probably some of the nastiest no perking clay, which means it does not allow water to drain through it. That is what we want to see. When you can scratch it with the bucket teeth like that, and it just leaves grooves, you're good. So I've gotten all this stripped out and laid over here, and this is kind of what I'm hoping for the pond dam shape right here. just about stay in the same shape as the bucket when you dig it and dump it out. This is for just to make sure water doesn't seep under the pond dam. Getting rid of that layer of organic material, making sure there's no stumps, logs, anything that was mashed down in the dirt that could rot out and cause it to leak under the pond dam. Areas where there's not this gumbo-y sticky clay like this, I would definitely dig it down deeper to make sure that nothing else is changing. But I've dug so much on this farm, I kind of know how the ground is, and it only gets worse the deeper you dig. And when I mean worse, if I dig down about another 2 or 3 feet, it's probably going to start filling with water before I can get it filled in. And that creates more mud. There and kind of rake that top edge of mud off, and then I'll get on the track loader and start pushing it down in here and tracking it in real good. The good thing about that is, you know, that machine's probably about, I don't know, 36,000 pounds with a bucket full of dirt, maybe a little bit more. And every time you're pushing it down, you know, you're only putting in a few inches at a time. It honestly does pack it in better than that little roller does, if done right. Now if you push it in 3 feet deep, you're not really accomplishing a whole lot. Alright, well, I'm going to keep digging this and we'll start moving dirt here soon. Well, we got a pretty busy day today. It's going to be hard for us to get away, so brought some Factor meals for us to eat for lunch today. Let's see, it looks like we're both doing chicken today. Let's go heat these up and enjoy. I'm going to go with the roasted garlic chicken, so let's get our microwave going. Warm up some lunch here. And just like that, roasted chicken, green beans, ready. That's the nice thing about Factor. So many different varieties. You always end up with different meals. Robert's got cilantro, got some rice, some corn. Let's dig in. So if you want to have a bunch of meals delivered directly to your doorstep, skip all the fast food takeout, know exactly what you're going to get. As you saw, we just had 2 meals that I'd never had before. There's a lot of variety out there. You need to head on over to factor75.com. Use code LetsDigFB50. I'll put a link in the description to help you get there. That will save you 50% off your first box, and you'll get free breakfast for a year. That is factor75.com. Use code LetsDigFB50 for 50% off your first box and free breakfast for a year. I'll help you out. Put a link in the description, and there'll be a QR code on the screen. Well, as long as it doesn't rain, before I get this filled in, everything's going to be all right, I think. Down to some pretty dry material. That's what you want to see right there. That's what holds water. So I'm going to go up here now that I got this cut in. It's actually deeper than I thought it was. It's still hard to judge how deep you are sometimes sitting in the excavator. But I'm just digging until it looked like something that I wanted to keep. that's what it looks like now. So I'm gonna go up here. I need to cut that crap out a little bit more, and I'll lay it over there. I'll lay some of that wet stuff up top, maybe break it up a little bit, get in here and start pushing it down through here with the loader. On a side note, if it works out as good as I think it's going to work out, I might run down there and get the D7. It's sitting out back. I just have to regrade my driveway and bring it down here and start pushing with it. We'll see how that goes. Well, I've gotten all the mud scraped off. Let's fire up the track loader, get in there and start cutting some of that clay off. It's just kind of a mix of everything, but should work pretty well because it sure does stay sticky and holds water. Well, making good progress. I'm happy with the way this is packing in here. I'm gonna load up the off-road truck now and run over it with that. It's got just enough moisture in it where it's bonding together really nice. Then I'm gonna go get the D7. I think it'll be faster to just start slot dozing that dirt down here with that. I'm just kind of keep pushing those edges back a little bit. I'll take the excavator and push some of that stuff back, that nastier stuff up top. That way I can keep pushing that dirt, and I'd like to get it raised on up, I don't know, about 6 or 7 feet high right here. And that should open up enough of that where I can then cut that section out and then push that farther dirt back to fill in that, and just kind of keep working our way back to get this pond dam back on solid original ground down here without all that topsoil under it. All right, I've loaded the truck with dirt. I'm gonna back down into the cut here, and then down here to where the new pond dam is going to go. And I'm gonna roll everything in with this. And then I'm gonna walk all the way down to the back and get the D7 and bring it all the way back up here. And it would appear that it's packed pretty good because I didn't really pack it down much. And this truck's fully loaded now. So we went from goopy wet mud to a nice solid foundation. And it'll stay that way until it rains again. All right, I'm gonna roll this in a few more passes all the way to that edge and then start pushing dirt. D7 time. And don't think for a minute Robert knew better than to eat my chocolate chip cookie on payday. All right, let's get the D7. I gotta pull the D6 forward to wiggle that thing out of there. Hopefully we start. We haven't been used in a month or so. I did use this the other day. Pushed some dirt off out back. Made an absolute muddy mess of everything. This is going pretty good right here. I'm gonna back up and make another cut. Already put another lift in, got that rolled in. What I'm gonna try to do is get this cut down back to its existing grade where these trees are. I think I should start running that layer of topsoil then. Then I can dig all that out and then take that dirt, push it in here and fill all that back in. So let's set the camera up and push some dirt. Here's a prime example. Evidently they pushed over a tree, old tree stump right here. You can actually see the log going straight through the pond dam right here. And that's all it takes. It's for that water to follow that rotten wood, and it'll completely drain that pond. So I feel like it's about to get exciting on what I'm gonna find. Let's keep pushing. Well, I got about 3/4 of that lift in, and I am down to the problem area. So you can tell right here where I stopped digging this clay out, or the mud out, I am all down into this gooey mess. About got stuck right there. But I'm digging up logs. There was some more of it somewhere over here. I've already mashed it down. There's just all sorts of goodies in here. So I'm gonna back the D7 out. I'm gonna come down here at the 220, scoop all this out down to clay again. I guess I'm just gonna pile it up on the side right there, wherever I can put it for right now. And then I'll start taking that clay and pushing it back this way to fill all this in. Well, this is about to get exciting. There's some serious mud right down in here. Got logs. Just gonna try to pile this up the best I can right here. Stumps. I don't know why this thing wouldn't hold water. I'll end up scooping all this up later, using it for material on the slope material. Right now I just got to get it out of the cut. There isn't so bad. It's not going to leak through that wet material there. But this topsoil, it will. So I'm trying to dig this while working. Pretty much I'm just making this a giant core trench now. So I'm well below grade now. Grade is like right here. Scratch it out down to this clay, and I feel good about that to continue on. Well, that would definitely be why my D7 was about to get stuck. Good stuff. That's some gnarly stuff right there now. I honestly don't know what I'm going to do with all this mess. Hogs, stumps, everything. Love it. Gonna get a workout today to fill all this back in. up. I'll have to dig it out from around those trees later. Just gotta get it out for right now. Get stuff like, see this stump right here? Pluck that out of there. You can see I'm about 4 feet below grade right here now. See where the original ground was? That's how much topsoil there was. Well, I can't reach that. Once I throw that clay in there, I'm gonna need to pull it back anyway, so I'm gonna take the 953 around, see if I can't drive it down in here, finish pushing that up there to me. The ground's solid once you get through that 4 foot of mud. Just push that up, load out another load or two, and I'll cut some clay and start chunking that down in there. I'm down to the good stuff now. We got stumps. So I've ran out of room to start dumping this, so I'm going to start loading it into the dump truck and hauling it literally right over there to the corner for right now. Once I get all this dirt moved, I can pile it up there, but for right now, it's the dirt shuffle. Move it from one spot, then move it to another. I just don't have the final spot ready yet. And can't even get to it, because I don't know where it's going to be yet. Probably somewhere behind the pond dam down there. But I ran out of room on throwing it over here. I don't want to bury all these trees and kill them. So I'll haul 2 or 3 loads out, and then I'll make my next cut. I'll cut this clay off, throw it down into the hole, and then I might actually just start pushing some, see what it looks like. Got another stump. That right there is the makings of a bad pond. But they didn't have a whole lot to work with back when this was built, so I am 100% sure it was on a budget too. Dug out. I'll probably have to climb down in there and rake some of that back a little more. Keep moving dirt. I got to get this filled in to at least water level before I quit today, so I'll probably not cut out anymore after this. Work on getting all this hill pushed down. I think I'm going to let Robert and I work on this tomorrow. Try to get something of mine done. How about this? I'm stuck in the core trench. Come on, baby. We just had to give this thing some encouraging moments here. Come on. Where's the dump truck at? Let's not back into the dump truck. I can't see nothing. We're close. Well then, that was exciting. Let's not drive back in there. Boy, all I was trying to do was reach the mud and I ended up sliding off into it. Next thing I know, I was stuck. Alright, let's try to put some dry dirt here now. I gotta dump that mud and get the truck out of the way. This is turning into be a little aggravating. So let's check this out before I fill it all in. I'm down to that good old gumbo-y clay. But there's existing grade right there. Still see some roots, all the topsoil. Come over here where it's a little smoother there. You can see that organic layer, and that right there is where it was leaking through, and that's the rest of the topsoil before we get down to this blue clay. It's not going to seep through that. So I'm gonna go ahead and take the 4-in-1 bucket, drag that back, get all this tracked in, and probably jump on the 7 and start pushing that. So you can see how deep the hole is there now with the 953 in it. So I'm going to cut some of this clay off and just throw it down in there with the excavator, and I'll take the loader, scoop it up, drag it back, whatever it takes. Start getting that filled in, tracked in, backed in. That way I can get the truck down in there and roll it in. But that was literally 5 feet of mud. Once I cut this out, I'll walk down in there and show it to you. Then get this ramp down, and I take the 7 and start shoving some more of this down through there. But it was quite the mess here, to say the least. I'm going to use the tractor down there at the bottom because it doesn't quite weigh as much. It's a little more nimble, and I'd start kind of putting that dirt in there a little better where it needs to go. Make sure I got it sealed off good. That D7 is hard to tell if you're putting in 12 inches or 18 inches. You're just pushing dirt. got some good dry dirt right here. I feel like that's definitely the problem though. I mean, that should not be that wet right there. It pretty much starts right there at ground level where the pond is. So that's telling me that that's where the water's going. It's just seeping through there. Got like 4 or 5 feet of topsoil out of there down to that good gumbo-y clay. I think that'll be fine and dandy. Long to take the loader and spread that out. Starting to get pretty close back to original grade here now. I'm going to mark the edge of my cut right here on the wall. I'll know where I've got to dig back to. Once I fill all this in, it's all going to look the same. Alright, a few more scoops and we'll go down there and spread that out. Stop for a little break. Here's my pile of mud. I just rolled in that last lift with the truck and hauled 2 loads back there. Got this cut down enough. I want to start running the D7, taking this and shoving it down through there, and kind of get another lift or 2 put in there. Then tomorrow I think we'll focus on digging some more of this out. I feel like it needs to be at least dug out to like somewhere right in here. I need to set the laser up, see where water level's eventually going to be at. We can do that tomorrow, but right now I know I need a lot more dirt right there. Well, that's going to be a wrap for today. Little project piddling on the farm pond here at the house today. I think Robert and I are going to work on it tomorrow. Try to get all of this dirt put down in here and the rest of this mud cut out. You can definitely tell, about fell down, where I stopped digging. I marked it with that root and that notch. Goes from grate to mud. But I just rolled it in with the truck. All this is packing in really good. I'm happy with this. All the way down. It just needs to come up like 4 more feet. I'm not exactly sure where I'm going to get all the dirt from. I still have to take this section out. And I think I can pull that, once I get all that dirt out, I can move that mud over, cut that edge of the pond out if the material is good enough. There was one, when I hauled that mud, probably a scoop of mud left in the back of the truck. That's where it came out at. I'll have to dig that out. But all in all, I think it went pretty good today. Flying solo here. Got all that brush moved, mud dug out, and uncovered a humongous mess. Oh well. So, all right. Well, we'll pick back up on this tomorrow and get that looking better.